Welcome once again to Living in the World of Dementia. Today I want to speak a little bit on physical aging. This is very essential. And the realities of life today is that no one really takes the time out to look at their physical aging and what aligns with it. So I just want to give you a brief rundown and insight of what it is to be physically aging. The evolution of physical aging just doesn't start overnight. I believe that the evolutionary process of physical aging starts at the cycle of zygote. And what that really means is that, in layman terms, when the male and female gametes meet after the manifestation of sexual intercourse, and in layman terms, let me make that clear to you when I use the word female gametes and male gametes. All it simply means when the sperm and the egg meet, and that process begin of fertility, which is known to be zygote, it's at that point that you can truthfully say and technically say that internally within the woman's womb, that the aging process begins as the embryo at this initial stages of zygote start to develop into a fetus, and the first trimester and the second trimester grows and evolves up to the third trimester. That evolutionary process of birth also is combined with aging and some form of maturity at the first phase of that child's birth. After the baby is born, then the child goes through other phases, from toddler to a young teenager, and eventually become a man or woman and grow to an elderly person. Those phases represent different stages of the aging process. So let's look at the aging process in a different standpoint, from not internally within the woman's womb, but externally living as a person. And often, as we grow from the young adult into mid-age, we see a lot of signs start happening to our body. This process of aging takes its toll on the body, often manifesting in your physical appearance. And what that means? You recognize by the time you hit 50 years old that your youthfulness is starting to disappear. It's starting to go, and you're not so energized anymore. Your hair becomes gray. You start to get wrinkles in your face, and some people, they get stressed out when that process starts to occur. And then other problems follow thereafter. So I believe that aging, we should come to learn to expect that that will be a part of our lives. And the ability to age gracefully and peacefully is a way of eradicating excessive stress that you will face because your body are changing. Now, the reality is that the world has a lot of stressors already, and to accumulate on you more because you can't deal with your age, it's a problem. And I think one of the most serious problems are when people decide that when they see wrinkles in their face and they're not so elegantly looking anymore, they go for Botox to remove this, and they try to do all kinds of things to keep young. And it's good, everyone to their own, but the reality is that you can't get rid of the fact that though you try to make your physical appearance look so young and good, that the reality internally, you don't feel that young anymore, and you know it. And that could become a mental battle to people at some point in their lives. So what is some of these areas that we're looking at, besides the wrinkles and the hair color changes and so forth? During this phase, you will recognize that you begin to feel a little bit tired in the bones. And you're not being able to cope with it really. And often medical practitioners will tell you, well, keep up doing your good exercises and do things that are less riskier behavior and low stress levels, keep them low. These activities encourage better health. Yes, that is true. They keep better health, but the reality is that many people don't do that. So regardless of your lifestyle, attitude, we all are actually aging. We can't get away from that. So let's take a look at some of what we call the cellular clock theory. And I want to try to explain this in more layman terms, not too much medical and biologically correct, in a term that we all can get a clear understanding of what's going on. But this cellular clock theory focuses attention on lifespan of cells. All cells except the brain can divide to replicate themselves. This process is called mitosis. It's where a single cell divides into two identical cells. This enables you to keep the body going. But the brain, it just don't work up there. There's no multiplication or replication of brain cells. And this is where problems really steps in. And this is what is so vitally important, that we try to keep our mental focus correct. We try to do things that maintain a sound mind. Try not to encourage things in your life that cause problems, emotional and psychological problems that bring damages, because your mind now at this older age can't do the things that it used to do before. And that's why it's so vitally important that we try to really understand dementia at some points, because your short-term memory in dementia don't really stand up too long. It deteriorates, and the frontal lobe of your brain start to narrow, and more that narrow and deteriorate. Your ability to analyze and synthesize and to make good decisions are failing you daily. And this is what is so essential, that we keep focus when these things start to happen to us. The next theory is the autoimmune theory. This purports that aging is a function of the decline in the immune system with aging. This decrease, the body becomes more susceptible of infections. This increases the risk of cancer, diabetes, and rheumatoid arthritis, and the thymus gland, where white blood cells are made, shrinks with age. This is really a concern. As we age, we recognize that we have shrinkage with the white blood cells, which are very essential to every living human being. These white blood cells enables you to fight off diseases. They are the white platelets. These combat germs and diseases, but when the depletion of these white blood cells start to go, your immune system suffers severely. Then things like cancer and rheumatoid arthritis starts to invade your body. You can't fight off sickness like you used to before. And then your body weakens, then more issues start to stem in. So it's vitally important that we understand clearly the essentials of why it is so important that we try to maintain a healthy diet at all times and keep our body at the forefront of our focus. The shrinkage of the white blood cells, again, it off-balances the body. And in the medical practitioner field, we know that the essentials of white platelets or blood cells have, and it must be, always at all times being able in a position to keep off and fight off diseases and bacteria and those kind of infections like colds, simple things that would normally invade your body. The white platelets are there as your weapon. It's there to fight off and deliver every time that your body can easily recover what is going through or experiencing at that point in time. With that said, I want to take a next look at another theory. It's called the damage or error theory. What is the damage and error theory? This refers to a wear and tear of the body or negative changes to cells and body systems that contribute to aging. This is a next important role we have to look at again, because all of us, we suffer wear and tears on our bodies, and it doesn't have to wait until we get elderly for that to happen. The important thing here is that we will keep speaking on is the focus of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Because come with this error theory, where your body suffer wear and tear, these could bring and present you tragic moments at any given time. Some people suffer with brittle bones, the shrinkage of bone density, the skin elasticity start to get thinner, and the blood vessels shrink and decrease. You got muscular issues, declining flexibility of the eyes, lens, leading to increased farsightedness with aging. This is very essential again. As we get older, and it's hard to teach this because when we are young, we never take the time out to foresee what we are up against. Far above that is that when we are young, we never see ourselves getting old. It looked like, oh, that's far-fetched. When you're young, you feel energized and powerful, but every day that you live, every year that you live, your body goes through different phases. And sometimes they can go unforeseeable. You don't even recognize it. Until one day, you wake up and you take a good look in the mirror and you recognize, ooh, well, I'm getting old. I'm looking different. And not just that you're appearing different, but internally, you are feeling changes in your body. Internally, you know that you are not the same person who are so energized to perform and get things done appropriately, but your body is saying to you that I just can't do it. And that's all fair and good. As we age, these are the things we must expect. It's quite essential to understand that experiencing these things and being able to accept it can even make your life much easier and coping with it. Well, there are those who just can't deal with it and they flip. They go crazy, they do all kinds of things. Because when you start analyzing and synthesize that you're no longer younger anymore, your mental faculties take over and they go haywire. And sometimes it can make you do things you don't want to do. For example, we've seen and recognized that there were women who found that there were wrinkles under their eyelids and wrinkles in their lips, and they put Botox in their lips and they put all kind of Botox under their eyes, and rather it made them look good, it had disfigured them, and some just get fed up and frustrated and try to hurt themselves because life not seems like it's working out anymore for them the way they expected it to. So, with that said, I want to just look now at the ability to cope and work with aging, and look at the internal factors within the home and even externally. The social setting doesn't accept aging that well. If it's in your workplace, you've got to keep up with the Joneses. You've got to look young. You've got to look vibrant. You've got to look great. You must lose weight. You must look this. But reality is, again, as you age, it comes with a price. Sometimes that price means you get heavier, and for some folks, they get thinner. It comes down to the genealogy of that person. And when we fight against that aging process, it's difficult to cope with society. It's difficult to cope within your workplace. It's difficult to cope even within your homes, because it takes out your agitation as you get older on the younger ones probably in your home. Now, there are those people who have young families who are aging, and mentally they go through the process as, oh, I can remember when I was your age, I look just as good as you are. But in the process of saying that, they are telling themselves, well, man, I wish I could be there. Why do I have to get old? And sometimes that younger person in your household becomes a trigger. And you start to build this hatred, this violent behavior, because you no longer look the same as you were 20, 30 years ago. You never expected that you was going to get old. And the persons or people in your family may be the nicest people. You may have a friend that's your age but look better than you and acting younger than you and probably in better health conditions, but you must ask yourself the question, did it really do well in my young days to keep my body up and growing and keeping it in the right format it ought to be? And that is essential. We must at all times understand that in the process of getting older, other complaints associated itself with your age. Some people get rheumatoid arthritis. Some people become diabetic. Some people get cancer. Some people, all manner of complaints follow you with age. Mentally, you have to be in a position to deal and accept it. As long as you can maintain that level of understanding that you're getting older, stress will be a lesser part of your life. You'll be able to maintain yourself emotionally and psychologically. And in the process of doing that, making others in your household much comfortable at ease, even in your workplace, the ability here is to focus. Learn to accept the aging gracefully plays an essential role in our lives. Thirdly, I would like to look at is, where do you go from here when you start to find that you are aged out, so to speak? You recognize that you can't do for yourself anymore. You recognize that families may now have to take you to a nursing home or some facility to be taken care of. And this brings on, again, another form of stress. It's not that you are in cognitive decline where you're suffering now from dementia, but simply because you're getting old and you can't take care of yourself, you've got to go someplace where it can take care of you. Now, to be away from home, not seeing your loved ones and being able to cope with the realities in some other nursing home or some place where you can be taken care of, brings on the next form of mental stress. And all we're doing here is trying to put you in a position that when you come of age, especially above 50 years and above and climbing, that you are going to be practically faced with dangers in your life. You're going to be faced with the aging process that brings on things naturally and sometimes psychologically. And those are the two main elements we have to keep focused on. Those are the two main elements we must understand that will focus on our lives as we become older. Encouraging your family may be a good thing while you are still cognitive and can do for yourself to be loving and kind, do good to those that when that time should come that they will got compassion and mercy to help you out in whatever way they need it, opposed to be taking you to a nursing home. But all said and done, your cognitive ability plays an essential role in going through these situations in your life. I've said before, the cellular clock theory, it focuses on the attention on one lifespan of cells, and your body cells divide into two and replenish itself, but the brain just doesn't do that. And that's where the major issue comes in from, that your brain will deteriorate first before it replenish any cells to keep it going firmly. It doesn't operate like that. It's the only organ in the body that does it, by the way. Only the brain. So with all that said, this will conclude the portion of aging as a part of dementia. And the next fourth part of dementia, we will look at the psychological process of aging. Thank you.